Good afternoon, ladies. I really hope you're well. So you've got me this afternoon doing a bit of a live women's health, the metabolic female part 1. And this really is to tell you a little bit about this kind of personal experiment that I'm doing. So if you join me on the live, feel free to say hi, message me in the comments, or if you watch this on Catch Up and you have any questions, please message in the comments and let me know. Now, I'm hoping that you can't hear Bentley's fan or his snoring in the background, but if you can, massive apologies. I'll put my earphones on in today to try and cancel it out, but he is laying in front of the fan trying to cool down, and it's on full blast. So unfortunately, there might be a bit of noise in the background. So apologies about that. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Belinda. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about, what I've been doing. Now, this program that I'm following at the moment, and I'm doing my current training in it. I've got my notes all here because I've got kind of going through everything, and I'm not qualified as a metabolic female coach yet. I'm doing my training for it. Is with a practitioner, a doctor called Dr. Jade Teta. And I first met Jade when I did my metabolic effect course. This was probably about 10 years ago now. And Jade was working with a colleague of mine, Lincoln Bryden, and they were putting together a format called the metabolic effect. Jade used to be a PT, and then he moved over into the field of really being like a practitioner with regards to health and understanding about diet and understanding about metabolism and everything like that, like a bioscientist. Well, he is a bioscientist. And I sort of first come into contact with him then. I met him a couple of times when we did IFS in Blackpool, and I followed his work for a long time. I like his style. I like the fact that he comes from a PT background and then he's moved over to science. Hi, Claire. And I was very interested in the information he was pushing out there with regards to metabolic female. And just because I wanted to understand about my hormones better, and I wanted to be able to then hopefully deliver that to my clients. And with everything that I do, I like to be my own guinea pig first. I will never, ever portray anything onto my participants, whether that be, participants or instructors, anything like that, unless I've tried and tested it myself and I know that it works. So this is what I'm doing currently at the moment. So I'm going to be doing a series of these videos over the next kind of 4 weeks. This one is going to be all about women who are still having a monthly cycle. So anybody who is having monthly cycles like me, and this will also kind of cover perimenopause as well, because you will still be having monthly cycles and you will still have estrogen and progesterone within your bodies. And then over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be doing perimenopause, a bit more information into that, menopause, post-menopause as well. So you'll be getting to understand all the different changes. Now, something that I've always done is believe whatever program I'm delivering, and, this has been very much more so within the last sort of six years, is understanding that it's one rule fits all doesn't work. Okay. I used to think that it worked, and because I used to literally put everybody on the diet I was doing, and I used to think that everybody who was training with me should train the way I trained and should eat the way I ate because it worked for me. I didn't think that, the fact that I was 30 and my clients were 60, that would make a difference. Or I didn't think when I was 24 and my clients were in their 30s, 35s, I didn't think that would make a difference. I just thought everyone should follow my program because this works for me. And there wasn't really the science out there to help us and to educate us in any other way. We just kind of thought this is it. But we understand so much more now, and we know that every woman is different. every menopausal woman is different, just the same way every pregnant woman, every postnatal woman is different, all right? And they are unique in 4 ways. And you hopefully will agree with me with this one. So physiologically, we are all different. Our physical presence, we are all different. Psychologically, we are all different. Personal preferences. You may have similar preferences to somebody else, but you have your own personal preferences. You have your own personal preferences with regards to nutrition. You have your own personal preferences with regards to exercise, with what you like. Hey, Liz. And your practical circumstances, because everyone's lives are different. Some people have got children, some people haven't. Some people have got children who are grown up. Some people have got children who are little. Some people have got animals, like my bulldog here snoring in the background. Some people haven't, got anyone that they're living with. Some people have got lots of people that they're living with. Some people have got grandchildren that they're looking after. Some people have got very, very stressful jobs. Some people don't work. Some people work in a very active job. Some people work in a very sedentary job. So you are unique with regards to your health and your fitness in 4 ways: physiologically, psychologically, personal preferences, and practical circumstances. Again, I've just seen that my internet's gone a bit funny, so I'm just going to knock my Wi-Fi off there on my phone because I think that was just interfering with it. And so when we think about programs and things that you may have done in the past, and I'm not talking about stuff that you've done with me recently, because my Optimum program has very much been individual. It takes into account what you like, what you don't like. It's not like I'm giving you a meal plan right now, but I know that I have delivered those things in the past. I have delivered where I've given you a meal plan and I've said, follow this meal plan, eat this. Now that, you might say to me, but Kelly, why did that work then? That worked for me. Well, it's a great starting place for a lot of women. For a lot of women, it gives you structure, it gives you guidance, it gives you boundaries. And that, for a lot of people, can massively help metabolic weight loss. It gives you that starting point. But then, essentially, what happens is we then have to really be flexible as a trainer around those 4 Ps: physiologically, psychologically, personal preferences, and practical circumstances. Because you'll get to a point where you plateau, where your weight loss stops, where your, training may plateau. Maybe you may experience weight maintenance. Maybe you might even experience weight gain. And that's because we're not being flexible around these 4 Ps to help you as an individual client, as an individual woman. The other thing that we have to be aware of is all the science up until recently with regards to what I'm studying now is outdated. And the reason it's outdated is because all the scientific information that we have on weight loss and metabolism isn't done on women. It's done on men. And men are very different for women, Every woman is different. Every menopausal woman is different. Every, woman who has menstrual cycles is different. But if the studies aren't even done on them, then the science is completely outdated anyway. So the science is outdated because all the studies are done on men. And they do kind of like a one-fits-all approach, which really, really doesn't work. They assume that every woman is the same. And a lot of them, and I'm talking about these programs, and I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, shape or form to certain programs, because I know certain programs have really helped a lot of people. But the likes of things like Slimming World and Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and all those kind of things, Juice Plus, Herbalife, any program where you're kind of a one rule fits all kind of thing, you are treated, if you don't succeed in this, you are treated like it's your fault, and you're treated like you don't have the willpower. So you have this immense shame, and you have this self-sabotage that you just kind of constantly revolve into, because you feel utterly useless because you couldn't achieve it. All right. So what we need to understand with regards to those things, all of those formats, they don't work for a woman who is having menstrual cycles and who is always not having menstrual cycles, who is either perimenopausal or menopausal or postmenopausal. So we need to understand a little bit about metabolism and the things that affect metabolism. The two major things that affect metabolism are your calories that you consume or don't consume, and hormones. And I know we often talk about exercise boosting metabolism, but it really doesn't do that bigger effect. It's more to do with the calories that you consume or don't consume and your hormones. Now, the reason I still talk about exercise helping metabolism is because certain exercises affect your hormone balance. So essentially there, what happens is you have a knock-on effect. So certain exercises have a decrease in cortisol, certain exercises have an increase in cortisol, certain exercises, help to stabilize and balance your hormone levels. And what happens there is then that has a knock-on effect to metabolism. And what you need to understand with metabolism is it's either adaptive or reactive. It's like a stress barometer that kind of like measures and responds. And what often happens is we yo-yo from two extremes, eating too little or too much, exercising too little or too much. And it's kind of this yo-yo effect that's constantly going like this all the time. There's never this happy medium in between. Everyone's always on a little bit of a tip, okay? So we kind of need to understand that that will obviously have a knock-on effect with regards to our metabolism, our fat burn, our health. And some of the things that can affect this seesaw that's going on essentially are stress. And we could have emotional stress, we could have overwork, overwhelm, processed foods, changes in the microbiome, in your gut, sleep deprivation. These are all stresses that are put on you and your body and your hormones that are going to knock you off balance. Okay, so it might be that you've got emotional stress and it makes you eat less. It might be that you've got emotional stress and it makes you eat more. It might be that you are totally overworked and you are exercising less. It might be that you are totally overwhelmed and you actually exercise more or exercise less. They have like a knock-on effect, what's going on. Now, there are certain stresses called eustresses that actually are good for us. So eustress is a good form of stress. It helps you adapt and recover. But if that stress is continuous, it becomes what we call de-stress. And de-stress then becomes dysfunction. Dysfunction becomes disease. It becomes chronic. So for instance, sometimes with exercise, it actually causes stress within the body, but that can be a good stress in certain ways, because you might do an exercise session and then the body's put under stress, you feel that stress, you accept that stress, but then your body adapts and recovers really well afterwards. And you kind of get into this really synced cycle, which is effective. However, if the stress is different, say for instance, like it's a constant overworked stress from an external force, i.e. management or, your employee, your workforce, and that doesn't change, it becomes chronic. And it then goes into that de-stress, dysfunction, and disease. So you end up in a constant downward spiral because of that. All right. So as a woman, we need to make sure that we understand the things that might be affecting us and affecting our weight loss and affecting our weight gain and affecting our metabolism and affecting our hormones, and try as best we can. And when I've spoken about these things before, I always say, control the controllables. I know that you might not be able to control certain stresses, but you may be able to control other ones. So if you are feeling this immense amount of de-stress, and there are certain aspects that you can control, if you control those, it almost brings this whole level of de-stress down slightly and becomes a little bit more manageable. So we control the controllables. What we want to try and do more than ever is achieve our calorie deficit through diet, not through exercise. And again, I've said this a million times, you can't exercise out a poor diet. You used to be able to when you were 20, all right? 18, 19. I had so many friends that used to have the worst diets in the world and the most banging figures. They had long legs, gorgeous physiques, tiny little waists, and they used to live on chips and chocolate. And I used to think, oh my God, how the hell are they doing that? I only look at chips and chocolate and I put on weight. I was, hormonal right from the get-go. I started my periods when I was 9. I was very young, and my body was constantly, in that state of stress when I was really, really young. And I used to kind of think, God, I hope it catches up on them. Like, they're going to get to a point, surely, where they won't be able to live on chips and chocolate all their life. And of course they don't, and often, and I did actually, see some of them that when they sort of got into their 30s, 35 plus, their weight ballooned. And that's because, you can't achieve a calorie deficit through exercise alone. It's got to come from diet, all right? And what we need to think about as a woman who is, in her 35 plus years, is that over exercising might not be the key. And this is very evident in a lot of instructors. We over exercise because we do it because it's our job. And then we've got this pressure to exercise for ourselves because we need to look a certain way because we do our job. And we end up in this kind of overdoing exercise all the time. And we end up, because we're over exercising, we end up overeating, all right? So what we need to think about, and I'm talking to all of you who are, having monthly cycles currently at the moment, whether or not they be regular or a little bit irregular, we need to think about changing up what we're doing with regards to our nutrition and our training to complement what's happening hormonally within our bodies, okay? If you are over exercising and you are, so traditionally, you might be put on a weight loss program and they'll say, exercise more, eat less. And I've said this before as well. I've said, exercise more, eat less. And what happens there when you start to look into the metabolism of somebody who's like my age, 42, is that because everything else is changing within her body, especially around her monthly cycles, the metabolism conserves your fat loss and it pulls it back to conserve energy. So it slows down. So actually, when you exercise more and you eat less, it's not actually working for you because you end up either not losing weight or staying the same, or even putting on weight because your body is under stress from that and your metabolism has slowed down because it's trying to conserve the energy that you're doing. We need to know about the hormones that are affecting us during our cycle as well. So we've got insulin, we've got cortisol, we've got estrogen, we've got progesterone, and we've got testosterone. And I've done talks on all of these under our Women Health videos. So you can look back at any of those and find out a little bit more information about them, what they do, what they're there for, why we have them. What we want to understand with this, if you are interested, is all about our metabolic rate. And we need to understand that our metabolism doesn't want to be fast, it wants to be flexible. So we're not looking for a fast metabolism, we're looking for a flexible metabolism that's going to help us achieve our weight loss goals or our weight maintenance goals during the times where our hormones are off whack. So where our insulin might be higher, where our cortisol might be higher, where our estrogen might be higher or lower, where our progesterone might be higher or lower, and then where our testosterone might be higher or lower. Okay. And when you start looking at your monthly cycle, you can actually adapt your training and your nutrition, which is what I've been doing over this last month, to complement that. And that's what I'm going to tell you in this video in just a second, of what I've been doing and how you can map it. And then next week, I'll go into more depth on kind of how you can actually put this together yourself, or you could have me help you do that as well, because obviously part of this VIP group is for me to be able to support you not only with your exercise, but your mindset, your well-being, and with your nutrition. So let's talk about first of all, understanding there's kind of 4 types of people, okay? And this is, you might think, God, that's a bit cruel, Kelly, but it's true. You've got 4 types of people in this world, especially in the UK. We've got the dieter who eats less and exercises more. And I think we've all been there, yeah? We've also got the couch potato. And the couch potato is the person who eats more and exercises less. And I think some of us have been there as well. I certainly have. We've then got the hunter-gatherer. And the hunter-gatherer is somebody who eats less and exercises less. And then we've got the athlete, who is the eat more and exercise more. Now, traditionally in the UK, the diet industry and the fitness industry have literally been between the dieter and the couch potato. All right, they've always said you need to be exercising more, eating less. And most people will try that, fail, or do it for a little period of time, not be able to achieve it, so then go back to the couch potato. And the couch potato is the eat more, exercise less, and that's where they kind of live. But what we really need to think about is, instead of being the dieter and the couch potato, we need to be between the hunter-gatherer and the athlete. And this is not just for instructors or people who exercise intensely. This is for every single person who is, wanting to help and support their body, their health, their weight maintenance, during the times that they're getting older. Don't you need to go out, mate? You're right. Okay? Okay. So if you are constantly going between the dieter and the couch potato, you essentially are missing how metabolism works, and you are slowing down your metabolism constantly. All right? I know we spoke about in our group, in our WhatsApp group, about getting tested with regards to our hormone levels, and it's something that I was thinking about doing. But then I actually really thought about it, and with all this study that I'm doing as well, I thought, well, actually, if I'm, sorry, I'll just turn that fan off now. If I'm being tested for my bloods, they're only testing me on that day. So depending on where I am in my cycle, it's going to be totally different if I then tested myself the next day or the week after or the month after. It's never going to be true. So instead, what we can use as a way to see, are our hormones out of whack? Is estrogen making our body insulin sensitive, or is progesterone making our body insulin resistant? We can do a simple test, which is called the SHMEC test. SHMEC, SHMEC. And what it stands for is sleep, hunger, mood, energy, cravings. And you can see how you are on all these levels. So this is something you can journal. You can journal, how's your sleep? Are you waking up in between? Are you waking up in the night? Are you able to go to sleep effectively? Are you struggling with your sleep? How's your hunger? Are you feeling hungry, or are you not feeling hungry? Bentley. Are you finding you're hungry after you've exercised? Are you're hungry when you wake up in the morning? You know, what's your hunger like? What's your mood like? Are you finding that you're changing between mood swings? What's your energy like? Are you waking up full of energy in the morning? Because you should, because you've slept. If you're not, then your SHMEC's definitely out. Are you energized more in the day? Yeah, he is saying he's feeling hungry. He wants to have the door open, I think. You know, are you feeling hungry when you wake up in the morning? Are you feeling hungry, you know, before you go to bed? That kind of thing. And then what are your cravings like? Are you craving certain foods? And is that making a difference for you? So do your little SHMEC test. Journal your SHMEC test on a regular basis, and think about whether or not certain aspects of your monthly cycle, your SHMEC is much better or it's much worse. And this is what I've been doing literally from my first day of my period last cycle. I've been journaling my SHMEC on how I've been every single day and seeing whether or not it's changing. And for me personally, it's definitely better post-period. So, you know, when the week after my menses, so week after that, I'm definitely better. And then it starts to kind of tweak and change slightly as I'm coming in towards, you know, sort of day 21, which is today or yesterday, 22 of my cycle. So it starts to kind of dip, and that is quite normal because your estrogen levels are high, you know, towards the, you know, first part of your cycle, and then your progesterone levels can sometimes drop towards the end of your cycle. And this is what I think is happening with me. I think my progesterone is dropping really quite a lot, and that's massively affecting my mood and my energy, my cravings, my sleep, all of those things. Not so much my hunger, but definitely the other ones. Okay, so what we can do for this is that we can start to map in, with regards to our cycle, a little kind of protocol, and I will write this up as well so that you can see this. So you could go, what I've done for me personally is I've mapped mine that from the day 21 of my cycle, I changed to the hunter-gatherer. So I eat less and I train less. Now, that doesn't mean I stop training or I, you know, I'm not turning into the couch potato, but what I am doing is I'm doing shorter, more intense workouts rather than longer. I'm not doing as much cardio. I'm doing more weights and I'm doing more walking. So that's my protocol. And that kicks in from day 21, where I'm going to be eating less and exercising less. And that goes through to around the, I think it's day 8. So right through to your day 7, day 8 of your cycle. And then from around sort of day 7, I then go into eating more and exercising more. So that's where I'll then do longer workouts. I'll do more cardio. I'll still do my weights, do less walking, sort of less mindfulness. And I'm upping my calories to a more calorie maintenance phase for me. And then when I do my eat less, exercise less, I'm going into a calorie deficit because I'm not exercising as much. So this is something you can think about. If you struggle around your periods and you know that they're really painful, you don't feel like exercising, maybe you suffer a lot with bloating, you find that exercise doesn't help, maybe you struggle with maybe polycystic ovaries, endometriosis like me, fibroids, anything like that, you might want to do the protocol like I've just said. Or you could do it the other way round. And the other way round is essentially where you would then think about, okay, I'm going to eat more, exercise more around my period. So from day 21, 22 of your cycle, you exercise more and you eat more all the way through to about day 7. And then you drop down and you exercise less and eat less around sort of like the first part of your cycle. And what that does is, if I just explain to you what's actually happening with regards to your cycle. So day 1 is the first day of your period. So estrogen rises on that day, progesterone goes low, we become more insulin sensitive, and we are less stress reactive. Okay. And then from day 2 to about day 7 is known as our early follicular phase. So this phase, our estrogen levels still are rising, they're still high, and essentially our progesterone levels are lower. We are more insulin sensitive, so we might find that if we are eating a lot of carbohydrates at that point, we might find that that might not work for us. It might not give us as much energy as we were expecting. And we might find that we become sluggish and we might bloat and we might put on weight. And then from day 8 to day 14, this is known as the late follicular phase. Okay, so it's coming up to your ovulation from here. And this is kind of like where your body is getting ready to be able to conceive. And then day 14 essentially is your ovulation. And day 15 through to 21 is your early luteal phase. And then day 22 to 28 is your late luteal phase. Now, the luteal phase is where progesterone should rise. You have less relative estrogen. You are more insulin reactive. And you have more stress reactive. Okay. So you're kind of working your food and your exercises in correlation to what's supposed to be happening hormonally within your body. So for me personally, I believe that my progesterone levels are dropping. I'm quite sensitive just before my period, and I am trying to increase my progesterone levels. So I'm actually taking a supplement. 2 seconds, gang, let me get it. Okay, so I'm taking this Estrolux, and this naturally balances estrogen levels in the body, and it also has progesterone in it, which will help to increase my progesterone kind of just before my period, to hopefully increase my moods. Now, we're only day 22, so the proof will be on the pudding over this next kind of like, couple of weeks, and I'll be able to let you know how that is and how that's going. But I've today changed from eating more and exercising more to eating less and exercising less. And I'm going to do this up until day 7, and I'm going to see how I get on, and I'll let you know how that is. Claire says, I have period issues and always find eating less before and during makes the pain less intense. Also, really tough workouts make the pain a lot worse too. Yeah, Claire, I think you're going to be probably like me. And also, as well, think about foods that naturally because I need to change mine, because I'm an egg lover, but eggs aren't great for estrogen. And if you've got a lot of estrogen in your body, you might want to tweak those. So decreasing soy in your diet, get rid of any whey protein, decrease your egg intake. That's going to be beneficial to kind of, again, pull on that estrogen. And think about more workouts around your period, which will be more kinder to you. So more walking, more mind and body sessions, more Pilates, more yoga, shorter, more intense workouts with weights. So, your lift leans, your weight training with me, less cardio. And then once day 7 kicks in, you can then bring up the cardio, you can bring up the longer workouts, the more kind of aerobic-y style workouts, and you can decrease the walking from there. So more kind of weight training, more thinking about, frequent workouts, but shorter, which is why we've been doing more of the 30-minute sessions. And like I said, it's a work in progress, and I'm going to let you know how it goes. I'm going to see how this works for me, and I'm going to give it a couple of months. If I don't see a big increase, I'm going to then go to the other way round, and I'm going to do it the other way. So I'm going to then eat more, train more around my period, which I really don't think will work for me, but I'll do it. And then I'll eat less, train less afterwards. I know for me personally, I want to train more when I'm not around my period. That's me and my body, and I know it well. But I will give the other way a go if this doesn't work for me and I'm not seeing some great benefits. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's been kind of a little bit of food for thought to start with. Like I said, these are going to be a series of talks where I'm going to give you more and more information. There was a lot of info in there, gang. I hope that's been informative for you. If you've got any questions, let me know. But I will write down those day cycles. So the eat more, train more, eat less, train less with regards to the days, so that if you want to follow this, you absolutely can. And I'll put that in the WhatsApp group. If you're not in my WhatsApp group, then the WhatsApp group link is under announcements, and you can join that whenever you want to. And I do a little voice note every single morning and kind of give you motivation and give you key points to help you with regards to your nutrition, your mindset and your health. So hopefully that's been helpful. Thank you so much. I'm now off to have a massage this afternoon, and I've got another one booked on Friday as well. I'm doing a bit of a double whammy again, because I'm doing things that are a little bit more kinder to me in this next cycle block. So rather than going to the gym this afternoon, I'm going to go and get a massage instead. Thanks, Claire. Claire said, thank you, Kelly. Really informative, interesting and well explained. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Take care, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Take care.